David Charbonnet, welcome to the 3 of 7 podcast, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, this is David Charbonnet, also known as Charbo Charge. David and I went through SEAL training together, and we were very close. Actually, I looked up to David when we were going through BUD/S. He was a little older than me. He had a lot more life experience, and he was just he always had a smile on his face no matter how hard stuff got. And he was always in the game. He would always pick up the slack, and he was just a guy that I looked up to. And we had a little group of 4 of us, right, David? The 4 horsemen.
That's right.
And so I'm just so thankful that you took the time today to come on and chat. David and I have stayed in touch ever since, BUD/S and all that, and he's been a great friend. So yeah, man, I want to talk a little bit about BUD/S. You have such a better memory of our time in BUD/S together. Like, for some reason, my mind just blocked out all that stuff, and that's one of my favorite things about getting together with you. Like when we went out to eat with the family in Virginia Beach a couple months ago, just listening to your stories, man, and your memories. And like I said, it was just my memory of you you were just always positive, dude. You were always strong. I don't ever remember you having a bad day, and I'm sure you had bad days, but like, you never showed it. You just always had that smile on your face. And I mean, how did you maintain that attitude throughout all that adversity and all the stuff that we went through together in training? Where did that come from, man?
Well, first of all, I think you said it right. You do have a bad memory, because I certainly had bad days, and I didn't have a smile on my face all the time. But I was appreciative that I got to be there. I reminded myself all the time that we were the only people in the entire world that were getting to do that at that moment. And that made me feel pretty special. I wasn't ever any good at anything in my entire life, and to know that I was like at the pinnacle of something was, I valued it, and I was just appreciative to get to be there. Let alone both of you and I and many other people that go through it have, greater stories behind it, and that both you and I, very specifically though, tried to go and were told we couldn't for medical reasons or physical reasons. My color vision was my thing, and had to fight for it. And to be perfectly honest, the first time I joined, I pretty much joined the Navy because I didn't have really any other thing to do. And but after they told me I couldn't do it, I had a passion to do it. And I guess that's just the kind of people we are. And so I was really thankful that I got to be there. We were around a lot of tough guys that were like, they'd have to kill me, I'm never gonna quit. I'm definitely gonna make it. And I used to say all the time, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but because the first time I came, I was sure I would, and I didn't, and because it wasn't up to me. And I get to see like God's hand in that a lot. I got to be around my brother when he was in college. I got to live in the same city with him, and so I got that was probably some of the most close bonding I've ever gotten with my little brother, and a lot of my friends too while they were in college. And then when they all left to go do jobs and stuff, and they couldn't hang out with me anymore, that's when I rejoined. So it all worked out good. And, I think you can relate. I was just so thankful to have the opportunity to be there.
Dude, you're exactly right, David. And I think that's something it's crazy that you and we experienced a very similar very very similar adversity, obviously different medical conditions, but almost the exact same circumstance where we tried to go be a SEAL and then basically it was taken away from us.
Right.
And I think based off of what you just said, that is when it was taken away from us, that made us want it even that much more. And I just that's that furnace of adversity. Like it almost purifies your intentions when you have it taken from you. You realize how much you want it. But that's interesting that we both went through that same thing. And then going back to what you said, so do you believe that everything is by design? You talk about God's hand and how it kind of worked out. I mean, do you see the design in these things as you went through life? Has that been a common theme? Is that something you believe in, or?
Yeah, it is something I believe in. I don't always see the design, and that's the challenge of life, is having faith that there is a design. And certainly had seasons of great doubt. And 2006, when they said I couldn't do it, was at the time, was the greatest struggle I'd ever experienced, and felt really lost, felt really frustrated. And I didn't feel like there was a design. I felt like that was the correct path for me, and it was screwed up.
Yeah.
I felt like whoever was controlling fate was mistaken. So, and I've had other seasons like that we'll talk more about, I'm sure, later in this podcast. But certainly don't always see the design, but it's something that I believe, or try to believe all the time, and try to especially believe in those seasons where I'm doubting it, and that's the challenge.
It is, man. It is. And that's something that I try to do too, David. It's like, look at something like the things that we had, the adversity that we had to overcome, to get just on the start line at Buds. A lot of people would look at that as an obstacle. And I think that me back then, when I was young and I didn't have the perspective that I have now, I saw that thing as an obstacle, that heart condition. But really all it was just a test, and it eventually led me to the place that I needed to be.
Right.
And so now, instead of calling those things obstacles, I try to just look at it as a test, and essentially there are no bad days. They're just these tests in life that will eventually lead me to the place that I want to be. So I think it's cool that you see the design and all that stuff, because I subscribe. So what was the hardest part, or the most difficult part about Buds for you in particular, David?
Waking up. Waking up in the morning was the worst thing, and still to this day is the worst thing that I do. Waking up early in the morning is just wrong. And I tell everybody that when that alarm went off, I was like, yeah, I would quit right now if they'd let me sleep in. But you would still have to wake up and go quit and do the paperwork. So you might as well get up and do it, And so that cold water wakes you up pretty quick. But yeah, waking up is the worst part. And that for me anyways, I thought. So.
Heck yeah, man. If you can get through the morning, you can get through the day, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Just the days after that.
That's it, man. That's it. Well, what would be, and I would only ask you this, I wouldn't ask anyone else this, but what would be one of your most precious memories from Buds?
Man. I can't remember specifically, what it was, but after and several times I think this happened, after difficult evolution or difficult, usually a conditioning run or something where it was like just put out, you'd usually end and hit the surf in the middle of a hot day, and hit the surf on the Pacific Ocean on Coronado Beach, just beautiful anyways. And that was when I really felt like I remember just spreading my arms wide as I fell into that water and just being like, man, I could be sitting at a desk or at college or something, but this is awesome. And just being done with that put out evolution, whatever it was, that feeling of just being done and getting to cool off, you're just like, oh, this is just awesome. And that was those. It's hard to explain. I guess that'd probably be one of my most precious moments.
Well, I get it, man, and that's why that's that attitude that I was talking about, that you always had, that attitude of gratitude, as corny as that sounds, but that's what I'm talking about, and that's how you earned your name, Charbo Charge, man. You were always there getting after it, brother. But I want to talk, shifting from buds, into your Navy career, and then kind of the injury that you sustained. Could you just kind of lead us through that?
Sure. I mean, didn't have much of a Navy career. I got assigned to a team, and about a year in, getting ready to just do like a basic deployment, a non-combat deployment. Getting ready to go on, I went parachuting with some buddies out in San Diego, and had a hard landing. I stalled my canopy at about 100 feet, came down and broke my vertebrae, and had a spinal cord injury. Fortunately, didn't kill myself, and I actually didn't have another bruise or scrape on my body except for rupturing that one vertebrae, but crushed my spinal cord, and yeah, I'll never forget that either. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be awake, not knocked unconscious or anything. My helmet went flying, and I just remember tumbling and being certain after I hit the ground that I must have broken a leg or something just from the sheer impact. And when I looked at my legs, I could tell that they were lifeless. And so I touched my knee with my hand. I tried to move my foot and I couldn't. And I just remember looking up at the blue sky, being like, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I said, all right, God, let's do this, And
Wow.
in that moment, I was very I felt this great peace and in the plan, and I think God was protecting me from freaking out. Because I had told people all the time that was my worst nightmare, was that I'd be paralyzed somehow. I was like, all right, I hope it just kills me, whatever it is. If I know I don't want to be paralyzed. And so it's weird that happened. And so I just laid there, and I wasn't in any pain for the first couple minutes until the swelling and whatnot around my broken bones in my back really started making it hard to breathe. And I couldn't get my lungs filled because the swelling was pushing on the bones in my back. And by that time, there was a lot of people there waiting for a helicopter to take me to the hospital. And I was just thinking to myself, as I thought I was going to suffocate, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to suffocate on dry land as a Navy SEAL. I was like, so that's how I calmed myself down. I was like, all right, calm down, take slow breaths, just get your oxygen. And so made it, got to the hospital, and had surgery. And fortunately, my spinal cord wasn't severed, but it was crushed pretty badly. And so I knew my career in the Navy was over, and the life that I had thought that I had plans and dreams for was gone, and that it would be different, and that I didn't know what it was going to be. So it was very strange. As if your life is a road, and you're in the middle of the road, and you see the road ahead of you. All of a sudden, there's a fork in it that you didn't know that was there, and you get turned off onto the road that you didn't know was there at all. And it was almost like dying. I mean, I felt like the future me and the dreams and the things I imagined that I would do and be all died in that instant. It was just gone, and it was never going to come back. And um, it was just scary. You know, the unknown of anything is what's really scary. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what um, was the most difficult thing, I guess. And but like I said, during those first couple of days, God protected me with a lot of peace and that attitude that I could handle it um, and roll with the punches, I guess. And I'm sure as the week went on, the drugs helped calm me down too in the hospital. But yeah, once I left the hospital, though, it set in
Mm-hmm.
that uh, that unknown. It's like, oh geez, what's life going to be like now? And that's when I really kind of started tumbling downhill.
And so, you know, that's kind of where that's the part of the story that I never have really heard, because when, like, shortly after the injury happened, I flew out and saw you while you were still in the hospital and spent a few days there, and I remember your composure, man. Like, you were just totally composed. You were calm. You really I know that you were probably upset on some level, but you there again, you really didn't show it. You had a smile on your face most of what I can remember seeing you. Um, you know, but so as far as you say, you started that tumbling downhill as it set in, that it was that your life had changed, but obviously at some point you shifted that energy and started going back uphill, because right now you're living an awesome life, dude. I mean, you've got two children, you've got an awesome wife, you've got, I mean, you have so many blessings and so much knowledge that you are willing and able to pass along to other people. So what was that shift? Do you remember from that tumbling downhill to where you made that shift to where you were climbing back up? Was that a distinct moment, or tell me about that?
Yeah, I would say it was. So I feel like I felt a duty to be calm and like maintain my I guess composure and be brave and be ready to like handle the challenge that was in front of me. And you know, I felt like I had handled so many challenges and adversity, which now seems like such child's play compared to, you know, what life can throw at you. And and not just me, just uh, as I've become an adult, friends and family, seeing what people go through on a daily basis, buds really doesn't seem very hard in the grand scheme of life. Um, but yeah, as I started tumbling down, real life set in, frustration that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Just it was like a lot of the same feelings of 2006 when I couldn't go because of my color vision. Um, just feeling like the creator messed up the plan and that he was wrong. Uh, and I started doubting, you know, uh, that there was somebody having a plan. The other thing that aspect that was really affecting me was as having a tremendous amount of pain. Um, I don't know if you remember, but one of our buddies used to put pressure points on me and to show like how much I could withstand. And I've always had a high pain threshold, and I was feeling pain in my legs, which I couldn't feel. I was feeling a tremendous amount of pain. There were like phantom signals from my nervous system where I felt like I was being electrocuted or stabbed, and it was just relentless day in and day out. And then I just remember laying in bed crying out, God, please help me. I can't take this. Like, uh, I just remember being in such like torment, and my poor parents having to hear me scream at night from, you know, another room when I was living at their house. And I remember eventually getting to that breaking point, staring at the ceiling, being like, God, if you don't help me, just tell me you're not going to help me in a way that I can hear you, so I know you're at least watching. And when I didn't hear anything, I was like, all right, you're not there. I'm done. And I just like gave up. And reading the Bible, they were just words on a paper. I couldn't like comprehend any of it. My wife now, I pushed everyone out of my life. I broke up with her when we were just dating at the time. I pushed her away, just holed up in my room pretty much. And I finally was losing my mind one night, and I called Janet, which I hadn't talked to her in a long time, and told her, I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's a very strong believer, and she was reading James at the time, and she just drove over. It was like 2 a.m. She just drove over and called me and said, come outside. And I came out, sat in her car, and she was like, you need to read the Bible. She's like, just because you think God doesn't care about you and God doesn't have a plan doesn't mean He actually does. And I just remember, for whatever reason, her saying I just need to read James. And I was like, okay. And so I went inside and I was like, all right, God, I don't know if you're real or not, but what we're going to start off with is I'm just going to pretend that you are for now. And hopefully that we can work our way up to real actual belief. And so that was about a year after my injury when I would say I hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to the point where I really wanted to die. And I mean, I never understood why people could kill themselves, but man, I really wanted to die. And I don't know if I would have had the nerve to kill myself, but oh man, it definitely crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And that really scared me. And so I would say I hit rock bottom then, and I started kind of climbing my way out of that, and would have a lot of struggles dealing with that. But I would say 2 years after injury, I was back feeling pretty positive, and actually got married to Janet on my 2-year anniversary of my accident. So
wow.
She said when we decided to do it then, she said, we're going to make it a new day. And it really is now, like, the October 15th is the day that I really hold highly in my mind. And I have even forgotten on several occasions it was October and my anniversary was coming up, which I knew was coming up. And somebody asked me when I broke my back, and I was like, and I couldn't remember the day. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's October 15th. I was like, I should remember that, but I literally forgot that's when it happened, because my anniversary of my wedding took it over. So it's really cool. And yeah, I'm just really lucky that Janet's in my life, and that she is the strong woman that she is. And I tell her all the time, she saved my life, and kind of got me back to spiritually where I needed to be. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, but
No, man, no, that's so powerful, brother, and it's something that a lot of people need to hear, me included. And I got a question on that. I know Janet, when you guys met that night, she had told you need to start reading the book of James. Was there something specific in that book that she wanted you to hear, or do you remember why she was asking you to read that portion of the Bible?
Yeah. Well, randomly, just, I guess nothing's random, but she was memorizing the book of James at the time, and just by memory. And so she had the verses she was halfway through it at the time, I think. So she had the verses in her head for the beginning of it. And I forget what verses it is, but man, I need to look it up right now. Chapter 1, verse 2, my brethren, count it all but joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. but let this have perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And so, that's the second verse I read in this, kind of attempt back into my faith and relationship with Jesus. And, it's just, it's hard to imagine all these coincidences falling in the line without somebody orchestrating it. And, so that was I don't think I'll ever forget that night. And, kind of started me on the path that I needed to be on.
That's awesome, brother. And I think for the listeners, it's important for the listeners to know that David, when we were going through buds, that's another thing that I'll never forget about you, man, is you. Everyone knew that you were a Christian, and they didn't know you were a Christian because you went around thumping the Bible and trying to preach to everybody. You obviously didn't hide it. If someone asked you, you would tell them. But you lived the life, man. Like you were a light in a dark place, all throughout training. And I always admired you for your faith, because I didn't really have a strong faith back then. That was something that I was missing in my life, but I always admired you for that, man. And so for David to say that he lost that faith, that's a strong statement, because you were really rooted in your faith in God when we went. I just for you to come back and to read that verse and to give God another try, and then to build back up to where you are now. I mean, that's just an amazing story, brother. I've never heard that story before, man. So I'm so happy you shared that with us, man.
Well, thank you. I definitely, did want to be a light, like you said. Before I went to the Navy, my uncle, who's just a great man of faith, grabbed me and he's like, you know why you're going, right? And I was like, yeah, to be a SEAL. And he's like, no, you're going to minister to the people that you're with. And that stuck with me. I was like, okay, there's a more important job than what we're doing, which was already an important job. And I did see the impact that you said I wasn't a Bible thumper. I did notice people that were Bible thumpers, and they were being, alienated and kind of looked down on. And I was like, okay, that tactic is not the way to go about it. And I just wanted to be, a good, I guess, example and friend, and I wanted to show that I could be good at my job too. I think, I don't know if you experienced this, but I did get a sense that, and I heard people directly say that, like if Christian, they don't know if they could trust a Christian as an operator and things like that. Are they going to be able to do the things we need to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I always felt like that was not logical at all. I mean, my dad was a SEAL, and he told me, he said that the Bible is a perfect guide to how to be a good SEAL. So I think that he was right. I mean, it talks about the battle of good and evil, and honor and integrity and all the things that we're supposed to have. And I think just being a drunken slob, knucklehead is not the way to go about it. So
amen to that, brother. That's the best I've ever heard it put, David. You're exactly right, man.
Yeah. So I tried my best, and at that time I really felt like I had gone through my trial of like not getting to go to buds, and that my faith had been tested, and that we were like on the good track now. but it's easy to have a real good relationship when things are going smoothly. And the real test is when you get put to the fire, and it's kind of bums me out that both times that I like my God changed the plan on me, that my faith kind of collapsed on me, and I'm like, oof, man, I hope I don't need another lesson in that, because those first two lessons were pretty painful. So hopefully, I'll respond better, as challenges come, and that I won't have those moments of doubt. And yeah, I mean, but I think everybody has those feelings of doubt, and I try to be there for people that do, and I have the um, privilege of being in the line of work that I'm around people that are going through something, usually the worst thing that's ever happened to them, and that I can be there for them, one on one, and get to relay kind of how I dealt with it. And so I am seeing pieces of what I guess, well, I forget what the word you used for it, but the kind of the plan and the purpose behind it all. I don't have
Yes.
purpose behind everything yet, and I don't know if I ever will, but that's not necessarily for me to know all the time. But I do see blessings from it. I wouldn't have my two kids. I don't think I'd be the husband that I am if I hadn't broken my back. And um, but there's a lot of things I wish I could do, but would I trade it off for the life that I have? There's no way, So I'm just so thankful for where God has put me, and just a constant work in progress in my attitude and my relationship. So
I love hearing you say that, David. That's some powerful stuff, brother. And I think that's a perfect transition into the clinic and the neuro rehab thing that you've had going on for the last couple years. Can you kind of tell us how you got into that and what it is, and I guess how people can support you and what you're doing?
sure. So when I broke my back, the physical therapist for the SEAL team knew that I was going to need more specialized care than what the Navy provided, and she went out and found a neuro rehab clinic, which I never heard of, and nobody has ever heard of until they have a spinal cord injury or some sort of neurological problem. But it's a very specific type of rehab. So she found it. She said, that's where you need to go. And I went. And these people, the staff, the trainers, and the PTs were there for me during this time where I was really at my lowest low. And um, it was an important place for me, not just physically rehabbing and getting back function and feeling, but emotionally too. And a couple years into it, just working out, I got out of the Navy, got married, and I didn't really have any idea what I was going to do next. But I was taking my retirement from the Navy, as well as making money investing in real estate with my dad. So I didn't really have like a day job, I guess. And the guy running the clinic couldn't do it anymore. It was going under, and asked me to take over, because I think he asked me because he knew I didn't need a salary. So that was my qualifying attribute. So anyways, I told him, I was like, Brad, I don't know how to run a clinic, and I don't know how to run a nonprofit. And he's like, you'll figure it out, or it'll go out of business, which it was anyway. So Jan and I prayed about it, and we decided to give it a shot, and we've got it going in the right direction. Thanks to me leaning on people that know more than me and learning from them. And I tell people all the time, SEALs are just students. They can learn things on the fly quickly and become good at it. And I pride myself in being able to do that and learn to do things that are not necessarily in my wheelhouse, like public speaking, which I never would want to do, but I do all the time, I feel like. And yeah, so we've gotten that going. We've got a great team and it's just really an awesome place where we get to impact people that are motivated to get better, whether it be spinal cord injury or stroke or traumatic brain injury. We got like kids with cerebral palsy and all sorts of different neurological conditions, and we're able to provide a way for them to maintain the best quality of life just by keeping them healthy by working out. I try to explain to people neuro rehab. I mean, able-bodied people need to exercise to maintain their best quality of life. People with neurological conditions need to do that also, but in a very specific way. And that's kind of the layman's way to describe neuro rehab. And we are a nonprofit, so we keep the costs low. Insurance doesn't really cover the type of care that people need that have lifelong conditions like spinal cord injury or stroke sometimes, and they need to exercise, until they are able to get all the way better, or, just to maintain their quality of life. So we fundraise throughout the year to try to raise money for scholarships and to keep the operating cost of the clinic down. So that's kind of what I work on, on a daily basis. And Janet behind me and supports me and runs the administrative side. And we got a great team doing the physical therapy and physical trainers. So it's a pretty special place.
That's awesome, brother. And is there a place that people can go to support you guys? I know you said you fundraise. I mean, you guys take donations, or what do you guys need, or what can you put out that people that want to help can help?
Definitely. The best way is just to go to VIP Neuro Rehab.org and donate online. The funding goes right to helping the clinic run as cheap as possible for the people there and providing care for the people that can't afford it. Doesn't go into the pockets of the board or any of that like some nonprofits do. So we're really proud that we put the nonprofit into nonprofit. So we don't make any money. But yeah, we try to get the most out of every penny, and I think we do a really good job of really helping people with everything that we get, and we appreciate all the help we can get for sure.
That's perfect, man. I'll make sure to link that when in the show notes when we release this episode. And I think that's so awesome what you're doing, man. What you said just a minute ago about how people without these neurological injuries, just your average healthy everyday person with no issues, they need to exercise their body every day to live the fullest life. And it's the same with the people that you're working at, and that is so much in alignment with the 3 of 7 project, that 3 being your body, soul, and spirit. That's one thing we talk about, how they're all so intertwined. So you've got to exercise your body. You've got to have a strong body to feel good, and it's intertwined with your soul, your mind, will, and emotions. All those things are so intertwined. So if you don't mind me asking, like, what kind of exercise do you guys I guess teach or recommend? Is it stuff that people do in their home, or is it done in the clinic, or how does that work?
Well, a little bit of both. Mostly we have a lot of specialized equipment that helps in assisting getting the type of care these people need. We do teach them a lot of things that they can do at home. But just for instance, we have a machine called a Locomat, and it is a robotic legs that you attach to a patient's legs and then suspend them over a treadmill. So somebody that doesn't have the ability to walk can walk on a treadmill for however long they want to with the assistance of these robotic legs.
Wow.
People, and even in the medical field, I was speaking at a conference with a bunch of physical therapists there talking about our clinic, and they were like, well, that's pointless because, somebody like you who has a spinal cord injury, you're not ever going to walk again. You're not going to be able to recoup your function enough to walk again. So that's a waste of time to use that machine. I was like, well, what you don't realize is you can gain just a little bit back, like I had. And for instance, when I started being able to hold a glass of water in between my knees by squeezing it while I'm in my wheelchair, was a huge deal. Like, then it was so convenient. Then I could actually move while holding a drink and not spilling all over myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then even later on, having an infant baby 3 years ago when my daughter was born, and being able to carry her on my lap and not need someone's help to care for my daughter was way more important than walking to me. If somebody gave me the option to be able to hold my kids or walk, it would be such an easy decision. I would want to be able to hold my kids. And so just that tiny amount of strength that I needed to be able to do those things was huge. And then let alone the emotional aspect of being able to walk again when you can't. And also just the physical part of being upright and moving. The human body is meant as a biped to be upright and in motion. I mean, it's all connected. Your circulatory system functions when it's upright and moving. So you're getting that blood flow to the parts of the body that need it, which in turn strengthens your skin and all the other sometimes life-threatening things that can happen to people with neurological conditions that doesn't happen if you're doing these exercises. So it's really important, and people just don't realize how important it is. When people think, I thought when you got paralyzed, you just could sit around and that was it, but
Yeah.
the great deal amount of pain that's involved that I was like, well, shoot, I thought I was just going to be numb. That would have been way better. But there's a great deal amount of pain that comes with, letting yourself go. So you got to maintain. It's really important. It's probably even more important than when you're able-bodied and staying in shape, honestly. And so, yes, it's a misconception of, how important it is. And there really can be life-altering and life-saving when it comes down to it in some cases.
The next thing that I wanted to talk about was beyond the teams, the mission that your dad has going right now. I know I checked the website out a little bit earlier. There it is, man. He's got the shirt on. That's pretty sweet, brother. So I want to hear about that mission, and I also want to hear, how we can connect and what people can do to help out with that mission too.
Yeah, so it all started. My dad just wanted to help out the clinic, and last year he was like, I'm gonna ride my bike from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic. I was like, what? Why? And he was like, to raise money for the clinic. I was like, well, you're for sure gonna die if you do that. So I brag to people all the time. I talked him down about a couple thousand miles, only do from San Francisco to San Diego on his bike. And so I was like, well, Dad, you're going to have to, get on social media and all that stuff. And he did. And he rode his bike. He trained his rear off. I mean, he was in his younger years an elite triathlete and a SEAL himself. And so a couple thousand knee surgeries and knee replacements later, he's riding his bike down and made it. And he raised about $30,000 that last year for the clinic, just doing that on his own. Then so happened right after that, he had his 40-year anniversary with his Buds class, class 98. And, of course, they're like, what have you been up to? And he's like, well, I just rode my bike down the coast from my son's clinic. And a handful of them were like, well, we want to do the next one you do next year. So that's how Beyond the Teams was born. So there's 5 riders from class 98, and they are going to ride their bikes from Virginia Beach to Fort Pierce, Florida, ending at the UDT SEAL Museum there and at the SEAL Muster, the annual SEAL Muster. And they're trying to raise funding for the clinic. They're going to raise funding each year for different causes that they deem worthy. And this year it happens to be our clinic. It's really cool. My dad didn't, when he got out of the Navy, he put it behind him. It is not one of those people that lived in the past and it was his identity or any of that. If you'd go many days without thinking or talking about being a SEAL. And these 5 guys, 4 of them he hadn't seen since the day he graduated in 1978. So for them to just jump on board and answer the call is pretty humbling, and I'm really thankful for them. They're all training their rears off. Most of them didn't even have bicycles when they decided to do this ride. Now they're going to do 1,000 miles. I mean, it's pretty cool, and I think the other cool thing too is, I don't even know if they all knew this about each other, but of the 5 riders, 4 of them are believers. So it's really cool to get to talk with them and these brothers in Christ, much older brothers, but brothers nonetheless.
That's right.
And it's been really special, and I feel very honored that they would be willing to do this to help our clinic and help our patients and help our therapists do their job the best they can. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it started. And their organization's beyondtheteams.org. You can go on there and donate, and 100% of the proceeds are, going to the good cause, and you can join the mission there. You can get T-shirts too, just like that.
They look good, guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. They're so appreciative of any help they can get.
Are they on social media anywhere, David?
Yeah, and you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook as they train. Their ride will be starting October 28th, and they'll be
coming up
10 days. Yep, finishing November 9th in Fort Pierce. So yeah, and it's pretty funny. I was on one of their logistics conference calls, and they're borrowing a bunch of RVs and stuff, and they're all old timers, and even the support guys are old timers, and they're like, well, we need to figure out a power source for when we're sleeping because, we got to power my CPAP machine. They have 6 CPAP machines they have to power every night. They're looking for generators to power them. So if you're anywhere along the route down the East Coast and have generators you're willing to let them borrow or hook up along the way, please contact beyondtheteams.org. They can use the help.
I could only imagine a bunch of old frogmen from.
Guys, I was like, half the logistics call is how to power their CPAP machines.
A bunch of old frogmen from class 98, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's gonna be a heck of a ride right there, brother. I wish I could be a fly on the wall along that trip. There's gonna be some awesome conversations going on.
Well, they're having a documentary crew going with them too, so it's going to be good viewing, I'm sure. Humorous, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, dude. I love that, brother. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, David. And again, we'll link that beyondtheteams.org in the show notes. So I think that pretty much wraps it up, brother. That's a lot of a ton of great information, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us, brother. It's I don't know, it's been on my heart for a long time to hear that story. We've never had the appropriate time or setting for it, and what better place than this, because now it can go out to thousands of other people, and I know it's going to give them strength. So never forget how powerful you are, brother. We're so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for your friendship, man. I mean, it's one of the most valuable friendships that I have in my life, and I know we don't get to see each other as much as we would like, but just knowing that you're always there, just a phone call away, is that's a powerful thing, man. So
likewise, man. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. This is 3 of 7 podcast. We're out.
Whooped him again, didn't we, Joe?